On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, the Pac-12 didn't hear no bell. They are not dead yet. Bill Walton may have died to save the Pac-12, as it turns out. The Pac-12 news broke today that the conglomerate from the Mountain West, I want to get all the schools, make sure I don't miss anybody. Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, which is the big one, basketball world, and Colorado State will be joining the Pac. It's still called the Pac-12. I don't know why, just because you would say that that's the branding and they don't want to change the number, but they literally did. They were the Pac-10 and then they changed to the Pac-12, but then they stuck with the 12 even though there's two of them, and now they added six. Well, they had 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they're going to have 6, so it's going to be the 6-pack, but it's actually still the Pac-12. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Why did the two schools that make up the Pac-12 not join the Mountain West in the first place? Why did the Mountain West schools join the Pac-12? I don't really fully understand it, but this is news. I'm going to miss I think this sucks for the Mountain West, which was a very fun mid-major basketball conference, one of the best mid-major basketball conferences we have. Is the bleeding done from the Mountain West? Probably not. There seem to be more spots available for the Pac-12. In fact, I know there are. They need to add at least a couple more teams to be a viable conference moving forward. Where are those teams going to come from? Are they going to come from old Pac-12 schools? Are they going to come from Mountain West schools that did not make this initial jump? Are they going to come from the East Coast? Because that's the world we live in now, which is geography means nothing when it comes to conferences. We'll talk about that a little bit, but the branding of the Pac-12, at least it's still around. There is that, but is it going to be considered a power conference? What is the ripple effect of these 4 Mountain West teams joining the Oregon State and Washington State, which was the Pac-2? What does this all mean? Talk about that a little bit. Also, we got to talk to TJ about his Rutgers boys because they are getting this blue ribbon. I mean, this is crazy disrespect. Blue Ribbon's putting out their college basketball previews, and Rutgers, who has 2 of the most exciting players in the country, this freshman class is fucking loaded, and Cooper Flagg's going to get all the headlines. There's an argument that Rutgers has they might by the end of the year have the 2 best freshmen, but if it's not Cooper Flagg, they have maybe number 2 and number 3 best freshmen in all of college basketball. In an era when, we're shifting into more of the transfer portal, the one-and-done era, the era seems to be done. There's still one-and-done guys, but like the idea of like building with a one-and-done approach seems to be done now that we have the transfer portal. I don't understand this from the Blue Ribbon, the Blue Ribbon yearbook. That seems like a massive overcorrection. Because if this was like 8 years ago, Rutgers might be number 1 in the country. Probably not. But Blue Ribbon yearbook. Listen, it's we're still a couple months away from basketball being played, so we got to overreact to this stuff. And that stood out to me when I saw that Rutgers is being predicted 15th in a Big Ten. That might not be all that great, by the way. Also, might have to talk about. Connecticut has the state of Connecticut has declared themselves the basketball capital of the world, and as a native Hoosier, I took great offense to this, but I also don't really know what my argument is against it right now. So I think over the course of the show, I'm going to try to get the wheels turning in my brain to make an argument against this. But this pissed me off. That was a college basketball news as well. As UConn went to the White House, and then the whole state released a sign, a street. I'm triggered by a street sign. I'm not gonna lie. I'm triggered by a street sign. But I want to talk about the Pac-12 more than anything else because I love Pac-12 basketball, and it's not going to be the same, but the branding is still there. It's still going to be the Pac-12 logo. And what does it all mean? What is next? All that coming up. Let's get to it. All right, Tate is here. We're going to talk about all sorts of things, news and notes around college basketball. Pac-12 is a big one. Pac-12 is the news of the day. That the Pac-12 is not dead as we thought it was.
Completely back, like on the track to being back.
Yeah, ish.
Branding wise.
So it's back in that it's like it's not dead. It's not like I think now there was a fear. There was like that wasn't even a fear. Like that seemed to be the reality. It's like the Pac-12 is not long for this world, and like in a couple, like at some point, Oregon State and Washington State have to figure out where they're going to go. Then they're going to make the jump, and then that's it. It's over. So now, like, yeah, the Pac-12 is going to stick around. My question is, what is this iteration of the Pac-12? Because I do like that it's sticking around. I think from a basketball perspective, and this is mostly a basketball show, San Diego State moves the needle. I think Boise State has a great program. Fresno State, not as much, but has like Paul George. That's cool. They're not completely irrelevant, but they're there. They're something, I guess. They're not a completely worthless throw-in, but it's like Fresno State basketball is not moving the needle. Colorado State does have a little bit of juice as a basketball program. I think that's a big win. I'm a little hurt about the dissolution of the Mountain West or the whatever that's going to look like. But I think this is good. I think like the Pac-12 had to do something. I will say though, the one thing I'm confused about is why didn't Oregon State and Washington State just join the Mountain West? I think that would have been the best case scenario.
I'm on the other side of that.
Okay.
I think it was a no-brainer that either those two had to join the Mountain West or the Mountain West had to come join the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I think they went with who had the better branding, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same either way. Now, one thing I do think is notable is it's not like the entire Mountain West is getting absolved into the Pac-12.
Right.
They went treasure hunting.
The Mountain West?
The
Pac-12, and like they picked who they wanted.
Like they're not like, hey, San Jose State, University of New Mexico, everyone's invited.
Right.
They brought in 4 people, and the 4 crown jewels, right?
Yeah, I mean, from a football perspective, probably, I guess. I don't know. I'm not as plugged into Mountain West football. But yeah, that's why I'm sort of. I don't know. Hurt's not the right word. The Mountain West became a fun mid-major college basketball conference. UNLV, Nevada, Utah State, New Mexico being left behind. The others, no disrespect to Wyoming's had some decent teams here and there. But the others, I don't want the conference to break up, but I want those 4 leaving the 4 that already left. Like that getting split up is a little bit of a bummer because I did think that there was juice there in the basketball world, but. Yeah, I don't fully like the Pac-12 probably has more cachet in the basketball world, or in the football world, I should say. But in basketball, it's like I thought the Mountain West had they had a nice cozy little thing, and like I don't know, it's really confusing because to me the Mountain West felt like a nice that just made so much sense as Oregon State and Washington State joined the Mountain West.
Mm-hmm. And that's like the perfect.
And they, in my mind, you're merging the remnants of the 2 conferences together. And instead, what this is, and the Pac-12 had to do this. I don't mean to say the Pac-12 fucked up. Like, take care of yourself. If we learned nothing from conference realignment, it said no one's out to. I mean, we saw the Pac-12 and the Big Ten make an alliance, and then immediately the Big Ten's like, I'll take that, thank you. I think that I was hoping for a merger, and instead this was more of like an act of war. This was like an act of war. Yeah, this was like we're gonna just now the trickle effect. It's like, oh shit, here we go again.
Well, because here's the big thing. So now that puts them at 6, and they now have till 2026, which is when this is gonna happen. They have to add 2 more teams to the conference,
right,
in order to be recognized as like a FBS college football conference.
Yeah.
So there is still movement coming, and I think this made it pretty clear it's not coming from Mountain West teams.
Yeah, because if it was, why wouldn't you just take those Mountain West teams?
They would have done it already.
Because that like makes the most sense to me is like just take 2 more of those, but they don't seem interested in that. So what is their play, Tate? You tell me. I don't know. I don't have any idea.
I think so does Gonzaga doesn't play football at all.
They don't play football at all.
So because I think people are saying basketball wise, the best thing would be, hey, can we go get Gonzaga?
Right.
Can we get St. Mary's? Can we make this into an exciting basketball? But that doesn't help them either.
No, it doesn't help them at all. But Gonzaga also, I don't think Gonzaga would do it because they don't really. Gonzaga is in a weird position where they're both very desired and not desired at all at the same time.
What do you mean?
Like because their basketball program's so big, and I think like a conference like the Big 12 is definitely interested in Gonzaga, insofar as they're building. I mean, we talked about this before. They're building like a super basketball league. Mm-hmm. Why would you not want Gonzaga when they're just sitting there? But also they don't have football, so like I think like the suits in the Big 12 are like we should add Gonzaga, and then like it trickles down to like the athletic departments. Like the conference commissioner's office is like, we should add Gonzaga and UConn. And then the rest of the ADs are like looking at the money and they're like, why the fuck would we add these shitty football programs?
At the end of the day, we need to always realize that the world is not revolving around college basketball.
Which is, with college basketball, I've made this point before, but it's in such a weird spot because it's not nothing. It's not like it's not like this is women's water polo, which no disrespect to women's water polo.
None.
But if you're running a women's water polo program, you're you know the deal. You're at the whims of like the football and the basket. Like you're just kind of along for the ride with, and it sucks that that's the reality for you guys. But you kind of know that that's what it is. Basketball's in a weird spot because college basketball for basically every high major team like makes a ton of money. They just don't make as much money as football. So there's only a handful of schools that make more money playing basketball than football, and those schools are in weird spots. So that becomes like an interesting thing because it's like, yeah, listen, we get it. We're not the top dog, but at the same time, like we should have some sort of say. We do make a fuck ton of money. Like we don't get any vote. We get no vote whatsoever. College basketball and the powers that be are like kind of.
That's the way it appears. Yeah.
So then you have this weird scenario where like the NCAA tournament is worth $1 billion, but it's also kind of being dictated by college football at the same time, and that's just the reality it is, and that's a weird dynamic.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, they need 2 more,
right?
Do they? A lot of people are thinking they could come from the AAC, which would be like a Memphis or a Tulane, who's out on the East Coast. Is that a lateral move to join Boise, Fresno, San Diego State, Colorado State on the West Coast?
I don't know if I love that for them, but it's like not really a. It's the geography. I don't know if it's the geography or just the. It does sort of feel like the A's. I don't know. Memphis feels out of place in the AAC. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
But Memphis, when they jump, is jumping to this iteration of the Pac-12. Is that a big enough step up to justify the geography anomaly and all of that?
It feels lateral.
But also, if you don't jump, what's next? What is? Is it any port in a storm situation where it's like beggars can't be choosers, dude? You gotta pick one at some point because how long is the AAC going to be a viable option for Memphis? Memphis does seem to stand out to me when I look at the AAC.
Well, and so then people are talking that the Pac-12 is somehow going to get a residual effect of some sort of dominoes here. Like, what happens if Florida State and Clemson go to the Big Ten? Then all of a sudden the ACC is not as lucrative.
Maybe that's what they're holding out for, is like getting like Virginia Tech or something. Like when the dominoes start falling in the ACC, they just like get like.
Titus, you know who else is in the ACC now that would fit in well in the Pac-12
on the West Coast?
Perhaps California. Perhaps
Stanford. Yeah, I don't see them doing it. That's the one. I wish you could just snap your fingers and they would do it, but they won't do it because they care too much about academics.
So that.
I think because I'm not making an argument for them. I'm just telling you what I think they believe. Stanford and Cal would rather just disband sports than be associated in a conference with Fresno State. And I'm not. Again, that's not me. Don't attack me. If you're a Fresno State guy, do not attack me. I'm not saying that. I'm relaying what I believe Stanford and Cal believe. I think that they see Fresno State is so far beneath them, and like a Boise State is so far beneath them. San Diego State especially, so far beneath them that like on an academic level, they're like, there's no fucking way we're going to be in the same conference with them.
Can't even be associated.
Purely for the academics. And honestly, like Stanford, if there's one school that plays power conference sports that could get away with it or have that attitude and like it actually kind of makes sense, it's Stanford. Because Stanford is like, listen, to all of you other schools, when your football team goes to a bowl and you're like, shit, we made a ton of money. We have some fucking nerd in a lab curing cancer, and he made trillions of dollars. For like they're just playing on it. They're playing a completely different game than the rest of us. So I think that'll factor into that. And unfortunately, as much as it makes sense to just snap your fingers and be like, why don't those 2 schools that are now in a conference all the way across the country that make no fucking sense, and that conference isn't going to stick around for too much longer, it doesn't seem like. Why don't they just jump ship right back to where they came from and everything's fine? I think that's going to get in the way. I think Stanford and Cal are both going to be like, dude, we're too good for all these other schools in the Pac-12.
I could see it. I will say my understanding is that the Pac-12 has a lot of money to use because of all the buyouts they received.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they can go out and try and make moves if they want. I just don't know. Like, is there anyone in the Mountain West still that intrigues you?
The 2 that stood out to me were UNLV and Nevada, but I don't know why they weren't in this initial wave. I mean, I said the 4. If I was making basketball decisions, I would see to it that New Mexico, Utah State, Nevada, and UNLV all get thrown in there as well. But I don't think that factors in. And UNLV and Nevada stand out to me as like, I think they got good football programs. I think they have the geography makes sense. It all kind of checks out.
Their football programs are fine.
Yeah.
They have a storied basketball history.
Yeah.
They're in Vegas. I don't get why weren't they included?
Here's my question, because I don't think it's going to happen with football. So like how does basketball handle it? are they going to get quote unquote power conference status with football?
That's a great question.
When the football and does that matter?
Well,
like how much does that matter to be considered a power conference?
I don't think the Pac-12. Are we sticking with Pac-12?
I hate that name.
People forget.
I get that the Big Ten doesn't make sense, but like the Big Ten, as dumb as it is, they've at least have stayed the Big Ten forever.
That's what we're gonna.
When they added Penn State and they had 11 schools, they're like, we're still the Big Ten. They added more. They added Nebraska and Maryland. They're like, we're still the Big Ten, and Rutgers, and we're still the Big Ten. They're always the Big Ten. The Pac-12 was like, we're the Pac-10. We had 2 schools. Now we're the Pac-12. We lose a bunch of schools. Fuck it. We'll just stay the Pac-12.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Be the six-pack.
It was originally the Pacific, the Pac-8.
The Pac-8.
So
8, 10, 12, but now they're going to stick with 12, I guess.
And if their brand is really going to, like the word Pac, I get it. That has been stayed the same. If the brand is going to change that much, just add those 2 schools into the Mountain West and let's have an awesome Mountain West.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I don't know if does being considered a power conference matter. I guess I don't know.
My hunch is that there is nothing that this group of teams can do, these group of schools, that would get them in the ACC, Big 12, SEC, Big 10. Like there's a Power 4 and
everybody else. Yeah. But with basketball, you have like the Big East, which doesn't have a football presence, and they have figured out not really figured out a way. They've earned the right, but they have a seat at the adult table. So I'm curious, like,
does this group
figure out a way? They're not going to be able to do it, I don't think, with football. But with basketball, do they have enough cachet? And is that going to factor in? Are they going to take an approach like the Big 12 did? And we talked about it last week. I've talked about it a lot. Like that's like Yormark is not Brett Yormark is not hiding what his agenda is for the Big 12, which is like to build sort of a basketball super conference. Are they going to take a similar approach with the Pac-12 where they realize if we just go after football only, we're going to be fucked because we're never going to be able to catch up with the others. But if we can be strategic about this, add a Gonzaga. Figure out like that angle a little bit. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I love that the Pac-12 is still around, I guess. I just wish, selfishly, I wish like they just would have merged. But now I'm worried about what happens to the Mountain West, what the backfill looks like there. It just, I don't know. My whole thing with conference realignment has always been just get to where we're going and then you just let me know. And it just feels like we're never going to get there. Yeah.
What's your gut say Bill Walton would feel about this news today?
Like
Mr. Pac-12, but also not the same Pac-12.
He would. That's a tough one because is he a Pac-12 guy or was he a UCLA guy?
And is he?
What games would Bill Walton be calling in 5 years?
Oh wow,
would he be on Big Ten Network or would he be calling the Pac-12?
I don't think he'd be on the Big Ten Network, but I could see a scenario where he would rather retire on top, go out into the sunset with the Pac-12, than live to see, Fresno State versus Tulane.
Yeah, they put him on assignment, and he's got to go to Fresno and call the game between Tulane and Fresno State. I don't see Bill Walton like just being overly enthusiastic and banging the drum for the Pac-12 for that matchup.
I also think there was something to be said. It was kind of cool that if Bill had to go, that the Pac-12 couldn't continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Pac-12 can't continue without Bill Walton.
That was kind of. I mean, when he passed, we all kind of said that. We were like, he died because he didn't want to live in a world without the Pac-12. But I'm. This isn't earth-shattering news, I wouldn't say. Certainly by the standards of what conference realignment has been. But to me, it's more of a basketball story than a football story because these are all the Mountain West is. Positioned itself, especially the A-10's kind of fallen off a little bit, and the Mountain West has been one of the best, if not the single best, mid-major conference the last X number of years. Like West Coast Conference has a good basketball conference as well, but what has Ken Pom been saying? Let me see that.
San Diego State has been a power university in the college basketball world for a while now.
Yeah,
I think 6th most wins in Division I since 2005.
Yeah, they just went to the national championship.
I mean, 12th best winning percentage versus ranked teams in the last 20 years, San Diego State.
I'm looking up what Ken Pom has to say about the conferences. He's the only guy I trust with conference stuff. Mountain West, number one. Big last year, hold on, I got this right? Yeah, last year, his conference rankings. Number 1, Big 12. Number 2, Big East. Number 3, Big 10. Number 4, SEC. Number 5, ACC. Next 2 were Pac-12 and Mountain West. So Mountain West was the top last year. They were probably the top the year before. Yeah, they were better than the ACC according to him a couple years ago. They've been. That's what I thought I was right. I was just making sure that the stats back me up. That the algorithms were saying what my eyes were saying. That the Mountain West has been.
I kind of like
one hell of a conference the last few years. So yeah, I hope they can. I hope they like still play each other. That's my biggest fear too. Is like I know UCLA and Arizona are gonna still keep. They're gonna keep playing. But it's probably not gonna be on campus. In fact, it's not. I don't think. I think they're gonna figure out a way to like play at neutral sites, and they'll probably end up like in 5 years we'll look up and UCLA and Arizona will just play in Vegas every year or something like that. But that's really. As I've grown to accept conference realignment, the only thing I'm clinging on to is like you still have to make these schools play each other. I still want to see, like Oregon and Oregon State are playing in football. I love that. I hope it doesn't go away. I want UCLA and Arizona was the big one in basketball that I was really hurt about, but I think they're going to keep playing even though it's not going to be the same. So I still hope that these Mountain West schools will play the old Mountain West schools because I think the rivalries were awesome and it was a great basketball conference. So. Anyway, but we'll see what happens next. I think that's kind of a powerful spot to be in, to be like we have 2 seats at the table, and you know what? We're just gonna sit here. We're just gonna sit here and wait.
They have 2 years.
Yeah, we have 2 years. We're just gonna sit here and see what's out there, and just kind of go window shopping for the next 2 years, and figure out what's next. But yeah, there's a bunch of different directions you could take it.
Become a basketball conference.
I think basketball is the way to go. And
St. Mary's, bring them all in.
That would be sick, dude.
How cool would that be?
Gonzaga and St. Mary's would. I think if you bring in Gonzaga and St. Mary's, you are doing what the Big 12 is doing, but you're also the problem is dollars do matter, and neither one of them have football programs.
Can you bring Memphis over? Like I know you weren't keen to it, but if you bring Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and Memphis,
now we have something.
You've just bolstered quite the basketball.
Now we have
conference.
something. We have a little bit of a basketball conference, but Memphis does have a good football program.
Yeah, they do
for their level.
Fuck it, bring Tulane with them. Let's have we'll call it the Pac-10.
Yeah, why just 8? They're going to bring more.
They just need 8.
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid that the Pac-12 went the original. I guess that's my conclusion. Hey, I have a take. The Pac-12, the original Pac-12 dissolving, that was bad. That was stupid. I didn't like that.
People point to all the I didn't like Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, but fine. The one that really has just taken all the dominoes and knocked them all to the ground.
Yeah,
Pac-12. Come on.
When I saw the news that UCLA and USC were going to the Big Ten, I was in a room. I was in an empty room in my apartment, and I actually cackled out loud. And I was like, this is fucking insane. And I wish we could get it back, but whatever. Quick break to talk about our friends at DraftKings. TD, Tutty, taking it to the house, in for 6. Whatever you call a touchdown, one thing is for sure. Touchdowns matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. On the ground, in the air, from the special teams or defense, we don't care how they score them. We want to bet on touchdowns, and DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet on touchdowns. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your bet today. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets instantly and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Titus. That's code Titus, Titus, for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium for free only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Speaking of Big Ten schools joining the Big Ten and all that, this is my attempt at a segue. We have to talk about this blue ribbon Rutgers situation, TJ.
Yeah.
If it was any other school, maybe I wouldn't care as much, but we are Rutgers. We're probably the #1 Rutgers basketball podcast in the world.
In terms of minutes talked over audience reached, yes, I would say almost that.
Yeah. And so the news this week in the Rutgers basketball world is that Blue Ribbon Yearbook, which puts out
the Bible of college basketball.
Bible of college basketball, as they call them. Yeah, it puts out preview magazines. Has Rutgers ranked 15th, and you're thinking, that seems about right. 15th is good. Middle of the top 25. It's a young team. They do have a lot of talent. Great coach, but we'll see. Offense has been a problem for Rutgers the last couple years. A lot of roster turnover, but they do have a ton of talent. 15th feels about right. No. Not 15th in the country. 15th in a conference called the Big Ten. This is stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning disrespect. How do you feel about this, TJ?
Yeah, there's a lot of I don't know. It's like, am I crazy? Like, do you have to talk me off this ledge that a team with this good of a recruiting class is actually bad because they have this good of a recruiting? I don't know where I'm supposed to fall on this, because I do want us to be underrated.
One of the things that stood out to me about this is that the Big Ten is not going to be especially good this year. It is not expected to be. I think like most people will probably pick Purdue or Indiana to win the league, who both have like Purdue's taking a big step back. They'll still be ranked throughout the season. They still have a lot of good players, but they're losing Zach Edey. They're losing their guy.
UCLA's at the top 2.
UCLA's up there?
Yeah.
Indiana went out and had a big transfer portal season, got a ton of talent, but there's a lot of skeptics about whether Mike Woodston can put all the pieces together in the way that he needs to have success. Whereas I think Purdue's the opposite, where it's like Matt Painter has reached a point where no one even cares what Purdue's roster looks like, and they're like, it's Matt Painter, he'll figure it out. But there are a lot of questions around Purdue. There are questions around Indiana. There are questions around UCLA. There's certainly questions around Michigan State. Ohio State, I think, will have a good team, but like,
Michigan
how can you not
should
have
be improved.
How can you not have questions? Michigan, a ton of transfers. We have no idea what that's going to look like. They should be better. But the point is, there's nobody like a Kansas or an Alabama or a UConn, say, who even UConn has some questions. Gonzaga is a good one. Gonzaga's bringing a lot of dudes back, and you're like, I kind of know what I'm getting with Gonzaga. And I think that they're going to be the cream of the crop in the Big Ten. The whole Big Ten is a lot of question marks. So why, like the case for Rutgers win, I think Rutgers could win the league. I don't expect them to. I think they are too young. I think there's a lot of roster turnover, but
insane amount of roster turnover.
That was fucking crazy to me because the thing is too, like last year's freshman class was not good at all.
No. They're all gone though.
But this year's freshman class is no, I'm not talking about Rutgers. I was talking about the entire country.
Yeah.
The entire country, like so. Last year, having the 2 of the top 5 recruits, I mean,
right.
USC had Isaiah Collier, and he was kind of a bust, but this year's class is very good, very highly thought of by NBA guys, very like Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are fucking
behind
legit.
Cooper Flagg. They're 2 and 3 in the class.
Yeah,
they bring over dude from Eastern Michigan, averaged 21.5 points a game last year. With what reason in this mishmash of the Big Ten that you just talked about could you give someone like Rutgers the 5th? Am I crazy? Or are they more likely to win the Big Ten?
They're more likely to win the Big Ten than finish 15th,
15th.
I think. If they finish 15th, we might have to have a Pikeville conversation.
Yeah.
We might have to have the Pikeville conversation.
15th? Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
We finished 15th.
15th
We're
in the
definitely
Big
having
Ten.
that conversation.
Yeah.
So what's the reason? Like
With the best class he's ever going to
But
have.
he's been the guy, dude. He's been
15th would
I know,
be
but 15th
a little
would be-
alarm.
that would be
15th would
alarming,
be like
yeah.
something bad happen, like really something dramatic happen. But again, I do want us to be underrated. I don't like people that are like, yeah, they're going to make the Final Four.
right.
I don't want that.
Is he
Because
paying off?
every time we've ever
Yeah,
had that?
maybe-
It's been
Steve Peichel is saying don't rate it very high.
yeah. Don't get us now is what I'm saying. Like,
But gambling odds wise,
Yeah.
Rutgers is 5th in the conference.
That's
They're
what I was going to
fifth.
say. I would put Rutgers just like without actually sitting down and planning it out. I would say Rutgers is like 6th.
Yeah.
I expect them to finish 6th.
And they're right there. There's no, like you said, no Kansas, no clear heavy favorite.
Yeah. This is probably a good thing for you guys though.
I think it might light a fire under some asses, and it'd be hard to underperform with those expectations.
Yeah.
It would be, again, devastating to underperform with those expectations. I don't know. It almost leads me to believe that like they know something I don't know, which I don't know what that would be. Like all of the practice footage looks awesome.
Yeah, I said it at the top that if this was 2014,
Yeah.
if this was 10 years ago, Rutgers would enter the season like ranked 6th in the country. Probably. And that probably would be way too high as well, but
Something doesn't add up.
something doesn't add up. I think you'll be ranked preseason. I think it's good for college basketball if you're ranked preseason. That's what that's always my thought on preseason rankings is like I think I should be in charge of the preseason rankings because I would do what's best for the sport. I would do I tried to tell Bosco this when he tries to argue that Alabama should be preseason number 1. I think you got to go blue blood that's bringing a lot of dudes back and like and let them be number 1 again and let Hunter Dickinson do his press conference where he's like, I love that we're number 1. I want them to know that we're better than everybody and all that. I think that's better. I think that's but also I guess you can make the case Bama be number one, get some juices flowing a little bit. I do think Bama's gonna be. I think Bama's gonna be really
no.
fucking good, dude.
I'm terrified.
I'm
starting to drink the Kool-Aid.
I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid. Big
terrified
time.
of playing them.
You should.
Vegas.
I'm reading the literature, as I like to say, and it's coming up, Bama.
Yeah, it is. Kansas getting some injuries too.
I'm just picture myself like having a book and there's just one word that says Bama, and I'm like, fuck, that's it. No, they're gonna be so deep, and the way they play. Nate Oates, I was turned off by Nate Oates against San Diego State a couple years ago. They went to the Final Four last year, and I have to tip my cap and say, he finally got over that hump. But watching them against San Diego State like ruined me because I picked them to win the title that year, and it was one of the more frustrating games I'd ever watched because they just kept like driving the ball and would not take a mid-range shot to save their lives. But I think that he's sort of figured it out, and also he's got the depth, and I think like the shooting has come along where like the fear of going ice cold in these games isn't as much of a backbreaker as it used to be for Bama with Nate Oates. I don't know. And Kansas is like, if we're being honest, Kansas is like they've gotten better this offseason, but like like last year Kansas was not good. Kansas ended up like for Kansas standards, they ended up being a not good team, and they had all sorts of their offense was clunky as fuck.
They still bring back the best player in the conference. They got some transfers in. I do see there's been some injuries out there though. Mm-hmm. So the one concern was backcourt depth, and they just had another person break something. 6 weeks he's out.
No question about it. If you watch college basketball and you look at Kansas' starting five, Ryland Griffin in the portal, AJ Storr in the portal, Harris, Adams, and Dickinson are back. That's probably going to be the starting five, almost certainly. That starting five jumps off the page at you, slaps you in the face, and is like, well, we're going to win the national championship. But if you watch the Kansas play last year, Dickinson is not great defensively. Their offense is clunky as fuck, and he can get you production. I don't know. I feel like at this point I talk about Hunter Dickinson in my sleep because I've like made the same points about him for going on 8 years now. Where it's like he's good as fuck, but he's also very, very limited. And I think the book is out on him and like what he's not good at, and he can be exploited. And that was happening a lot last year. And I don't know, Kansas for a team that has a coach who might be the best coach in the country and a lot of guys back who are proven commodities and a ton of talent. I still have a lot of questions for Kansas.
Zeke Mayo added too. We didn't even say that when we were talking. It'll be intriguing.
But I think Bama's like run and gun. I'm slowly getting won over by it. I think that their firepower. I think it's really just Mark Sears like running point. He's so fucking good. I don't know, and they're going to be deep as hell, and I think that helps. It's like Bama. If Bama has dudes that are sucking, they can just pull them and throw in other guys, and they'll just keep coming at you. You know, a team that I think is going to be interesting is Gonzaga. I'm slowly talking myself into Gonzaga. They have they were a team last year that was not very good. I remember at the start of the year. I mean, I remember sometime in December doing like a big holy shit, is Gonzaga going to miss the tournament thing? And then they flipped the switch and started winning everything. And ended up being a pretty good team by the end of the year. And they're bringing everybody back. They're bringing basically everybody back. And that has my attention.
And they've named their coach in waiting as well.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
I don't understand why schools do this.
What is the – I was going to ask you, what's the benefit of it? Well, I get the thought process is –
I think it's just like a carrot to dangle in front of the assistant so he doesn't take a head job somewhere. Is that really it? I mean, I can't remember the last time, and it's probably just because I'm selectively not remembering just to prove my point. I can't remember the last time there was a coach in waiting named, and that coach in waiting stuck around for like more than 5 years and then became the coach.
I was gonna say this isn't the first Gonzaga coach in waiting.
Yeah,
for Mark Few.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Like,
Tommy Lloyd was
like this isn't. At what? How many coach in waitings can you have before the next one says, "I don't believe you"?
Yeah, I don't. This isn't. Mike Hopkins was a coach in waiting for Jim Boeheim for 1,000 years, and then finally was like, "I'm gonna go to Washington," and then it didn't really work out for him. But yeah, I don't get the coach in waiting move. I'm really seriously now racking my brain trying to think.
I mean,
was Matt Painter coach in waiting for Katie? I know he's on his staff. I don't know if Painter was, or did Painter go to Southern Illinois? Painter was like always understood to be the guy to follow Katie. I just don't remember if it was like formalized as. This is usually you are the coach in waiting.
What about John Shire was coach in waiting?
John Shire was, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, he was.
I like it when
it was a 1 year thing. It was like a like
this my last.
Like Kay didn't announce in 2010 after John Shire won the national championship, he wasn't like, that's my coach in waiting when I retire. I just don't know when it's going to happen. It was like,
That's fair.
I'm retiring next year. I'm saying like because Mark Few, if Mark Few would have said this and then said, and by the way, this is my last year, that would have been something.
He specifically said that he has no plans to retire, doesn't really have a 10-year plan. A 10-year plan, Mark Few.
I don't. You're the coach on the desk here. I've been trying to get a job. No one will hire me. You're the one that coached. Imagine you're a high school coach, and you're told you're my coach in waiting.
Yeah, I actually don't like that. I'm assuming these two had talked, and Mark Few didn't just come out and say it. Like I like the idea that Mark Few thinks he has a really good assistant. He has a graduate of the school. Hey, this is going to be the guy to take over. Yeah, but Mark Few, if you're here for the next 5 years and Arizona comes calling or UCLA comes calling, you have to let your guys.
Brian Michelson is who we're talking about, by the way. Yeah, you have to let it. Like, yeah, Tommy Lloyd was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fucking take the Arizona job. That's an incredible job. I think maybe he's doing it to help his guys in some way, where it's like, get him a raise, get him on the radar of other schools to maybe actually get him hired. Maybe this is like a selfless play where it's like, I want you to get head coaching jobs. So if I declare you the head coach of Gonzaga after I leave, maybe
I like that.
Other schools will want you, and maybe this is like, in a weird way, in a twisted way, this is actually helping his guy. But if we take it at face value, it's like, what? I don't. This is confusing.
Is this Brian Michelson's dream job?
Gonzaga?
Yeah, I mean he was a walk-on. He played there. He went there.
Yeah, probably.
So maybe
yeah.
And it kind of, one other thing, and you mentioned like me being a coach, one other thing you can do is sometimes you can strong arm your administration into making a decision.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like you can, by saying this is our coach in waiting, now the entire fan base says that's our coach in waiting.
Right.
And you kind of help your guy get that job.
Yeah, so when you do step away, it's like that. I've already
have to hire him.
I've already said that that's the guy. Yeah. No, it's always been a weird. It's always been a weird. Hubert Davis wasn't the coach in waiting, was he?
Did they do a big search?
I'm trying to think. Like I can't. There are a ton of instances, obviously, of coaches retiring and then the assistant coach from the staff being hired as the coach. I'm just trying to remember, like, when was it formalized? You know, Hubert wasn't a coach waiting for years. He wasn't even because he wasn't even like a surefire thing when Roy retired.
Right. They went on to hire him. He was the assistant and they hired him. But it's not like, okay, he steps down, you're up next.
Right. Yeah, and Izzo was that with Heathcote. But I don't think he was the coach. Yeah, I don't know. The only one that came to my mind was Painter with Katie, but I don't think that was actually formalized. So, no, I don't fully understand.
UNC interviewed 8 candidates before hiring Hubert Davis.
Let me remember who they were. They interviewed Mark Few. They interviewed. You have the names right there?
I don't.
You have to do more trivia on this show. My mind is going a little bit. The older I get, the less I remember. So I want to make sure I'm still sharp. They interviewed Mark Few. They interviewed Jerry Stackhouse. I know that there was a move for that. They interviewed Hubert Davis, obviously. They interviewed 8 guys.
That's what it said. It said 8 guys, 2 non-UNC guys. Here, I think I have.
Oh, Wes Miller was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Jerry Stackhouse.
Wes Miller. Mark Few. They talked to Mark Few. Show me Mark Few. Is Mark Few on the board?
I got booted by the News Observer's.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, it looks like they interviewed pay $1 for free access. No, that's not right. Nope, I'm reading the pop-up. Never mind. Did you see Penny got a vote of confidence from his AD that he's unequivocally our coach and he's going to be the guy. So we got an answer there. I mean, last week we were like, shit, what are they going to do here?
So
we got the answer immediately. Almost immediately. He was like, nah, he's our guy.
Which I agree. You have to give your coach a vote of confidence until he is no longer your coach. You can never give your coach a no confidence vote.
You cannot say, we'll see. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't add up to me that everyone else was the bad guy and Penny was just the head coach.
Yeah. Is this you texted me this and this was not on my radar at all. Is Gary Payton becoming a coach in college basketball?
Yeah, he is taking.
Am I reading this right?
Yeah.
That's the same Gary Payton Sr. The glove.
Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Famer, the glove.
9-time first team all defense.
That's the same guy.
Yeah.
He's coaching a JUCO. What's the story?
He JUCO College of Your guess is the best of mine. Alameda went 7-21 last year. Gary Payton named head coach.
Yeah, I mean, if coaching is in his blood, this is awesome. I just don't like. Does he know a kid that? Does he just like know a kid that's like on the team?
Well,
or something and he wants
he's
to
been
just, like, help
trying
coach
to.
him?
He's
He's trying to get into the coaching world.
People forget he started his coaching trivia question. You said you want more trivia.
Yeah, give me a trivia.
2017, Gary Payton landed a notable head coaching job where? He was coach of the year in this league.
Division I college basketball?
No,
Oh. Was it like Australia or something?
the Big Three. Gary Payton was the 2017 Big Three coach of the league.
Dude, you had me sweating over here. I was like,
No.
oh my God, was Gary
like, was it
Payton was he the coach at Idaho and I didn't remember it?
No,
Like,
he
oh my
went.
God.
He went Big Three to Lincoln University in Oakland, and now he is moving over to College of Alameda.
Listen, I think it's cool if these legends of the game like actually have the hunger and desire to be coaches. Like Chris Paul is a guy who comes to mind as if Chris Paul gets a head coaching job when he retires, no part of me will be like, this is a joke. What is he doing? Like Chris Paul strikes me as a guy that wants to coach, and I base this off of if you've seen Chris Paul, anytime Chris Paul is shown in the crowd anywhere, he's like coaching the game. They're like, Chris, oh, would you look at that? Chris Paul's at this WNBA game, and he's just like leaning over, like pointing like he's a coach. Every single time I've ever seen Chris Paul like in street clothes, he's coaching basketball anyway. To where he's he's one of the greatest point guards of all time. A guy like that, if he becomes a coach, I'm like, he just loves the game and wants to coach guys. It's hard because there have been so many instances of guys that like want to coach just because like they want to stick around the game and make millions of dollars, obviously. But I'll never begrudge guys like Jerry Stackhouse's name I brought up earlier. I think Stack's a guy that's like I want to fucking coach basketball. That's what I want to do with my life, and it didn't work out for him at Vanderbilt. But and Ewing's, I think Ewing's the same way. He had a rough run at Georgetown, but I think he's the same way where he's like, I want to coach basketball. This is what I want to do. I don't give a fuck about the fame and the money. And I assume Gary Payton is that way.
Well,
I have to assume.
I have more respect for Gary Payton because those two you just mentioned are coaching at big time programs. To want to take over a JUCO that went 7-21 last year, and we're in this era now. You talk about Dion all the time. You talk about Penny. You talk about Stack. You talk about Ewing. Can Gary Payton? I mean, is Hall of Famer, 9-time first team all defense not a name that can get you?
What if he becomes like the JUCO guy? That would be funny.
Can he not jump some steps because of who he is?
Yeah, you would think, but maybe he wants to do it the right way, quote unquote.
I would respect that.
I couldn't do it for what it's worth. Like I don't think I could pivot to a different industry and start at the bottom of the ladder. And I mean that seriously. And that's why like I tip my cap to a guy like this because if you're a Hall of Famer and you're like, I have to now go coach, like maybe he wants to. Maybe this is the level he wants to coach because he's like, I don't want to get involved with NIL and recruiting and all that. Just give me a ragtag group of guys. I'll coach them up. It'll scratch my itch. Maybe if I can help some kids out with my experience along the way. It's like a community service type thing where it's like, this is my civic duty to impart my wisdom on guys that are trying to use basketball as a tool to go further in their life. Whatever. Maybe that's like his idea. I tip my cap to him, dude, because I could not do this. If you told me I have to go like I'm at rung like I like to think I'm at rung like 2 or 3 in the media space at this point. I don't want to go to rung 1 in anything. I don't want to go back down to rung 1. And Gary Payton was at rung like 17,000.
He really was.
He's at the top rung.
And here's the other thing. He's worth $50 million. Like there's what type of person are you, Titus? If I gave you an ungodly amount of money,
never see me again.
You never see you again.
You would never see. And I'm not talking to the general audience. I'm talking to you specifically as well as everybody. Like you, like my friends would never see me again.
So if giving the $50 million last night, and we have a show scheduled for today, do I see you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you never hear from me. I think everybody in this room would never hear from me again.
Which is totally fair.
I don't say that like maybe that makes me a bad person, but like to me, I'm honest and transparent. Like I would never talk to anybody again.
Which, and I take no offense to that. But my thing, Titus, now is so you're talking about you're in rung 2 or 3. I think you're probably in rung 4 or 5 in the media world. That's
out
nice
of 17,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now I'm giving you $50 million. And
Yeah.
I want you to go back, and I want you to go back to rung 1, and I want you to
start over.
Covering the middle school basketball game.
Oh, maybe
That's what Gary Payton's doing.
Yeah. Or maybe in some way it's like easier because you don't need money and you're like, I'm set and like I can just kind of maybe the demands of this job aren't that tough. And if you're not, maybe what makes rung one, Tate, what makes rung one suck so much is that you're looking up the whole time, like, how do I get up to the top? And if you're at rung one and you're just like, I'm good here, maybe it doesn't suck. Maybe it's like, dude, honestly, in the summers, all my guys go home. I don't have to practice. We don't have to recruit. We don't do anything. I roll the balls out like a few times a week. We play the team down the road. We're not really traveling that much. And I still scratch it. Maybe it's that.
But
I don't know.
Isn't junior college coaching all aspiring to move up?
It feels that way. Yeah.
Like, aren't they all being like, I need to grind. Here's how I'll determine. I've gained a lot of respect for Gary Payton from this story. Does he drop this in practice? I don't need this shit. If he drops that, I don't like it. If he's either doing this for the love of the game and to help the kids, but he cannot then say,
what's that first motherfucker look like?
Yeah.
It's just like,
I'm worth 50
like,
million.
Yeah.
I don't need this shit.
Fuck y'all. I'm out of here. That would be funny. That would be content. And Gary Payton feels like a guy who he's not going to be kumbaya with these guys, is he?
I don't. How can you go from such a good trash talker to?
I miss watching Last Chance U basketball. I need to fire that back up. That was so good. I fucking loved watching that.
This might be the next season.
This the next season is Gary Payton. Quick break to talk about Sport Clips. Guys, when it comes to getting your haircut, don't just go anywhere. Visit the specialists who live and breathe men's hair. At Sport Clips, haircut stylists undergo special training to be the experts in men's hair, making them the masters of mullets, finessers of fades, and understudies of the undercut. It's easy to have confidence in your look when you're in the hands of a pro. Just another way Sport Clips helps keeps your head and your hair in the game. Sport Clips, it is a game changer. Go get your hair did. Go start looking right at Sport Clips. It's a game changer. Question for you about this Connecticut sign, because this is a thorn in my side as a Hoosier.
What? Are you offended? When's the last time you've been offended?
As a white man.
I mean, this is offensive to you.
I've sat back for too long and let atrocities happen in this world, and I haven't said anything. But God damn it, now when I see this sign that says that Connecticut is the basketball capital of the world, I gotta speak up.
Literally shaking.
I'm shaking right now. No, I think I'm offended because I can't refute it really. They won back-to-back national championships, Tate. They've won. Now, I'm not saying they are the basketball capital of the world, but I think they're the college. If you want to argue that they're the college basketball capital of the world, I don't see how you can right this second. And also, I put myself in their shoes. It's like, if you're them, would you feel confident in doing it? And I'm like, yeah, I would do. Like if
Titus,
if Florida declared themselves the basketball capital of the world, I'd be like, where are you getting this hubris from? But Connecticut has they've won back-to-back men's national titles. They've won ungodly amount of women's national titles. They've won 5 since '99.
I expected more fight. This is not the side. James Naismith invented this sport in 1891, Titus. You're telling me because Connecticut has won back-to-back national titles in 2024 and 2023?
No, I'm not saying I agree with it, Tate. I'm saying that I need more out of my home state to make the argument for me. I'm saying I'm not in a position of power right now. Like, I can't. How many fucking times can we point to Hoosiers?
That's
how many
fair.
times can we point to Hoosiers and just be like, we have Gene? Have you seen the Gene Hackman movie? At some point, we need. At some point, we need Purdue to beat UConn. You know.
Mm-hmm. But
we need Indiana. We need the Hoosiers to step up.
In all seriousness, if I told you before you saw this story.
That another state other than Indiana?
Well, no. First of all, that a state was going to hang up a sign. And we're talking about, guys, a border sign that says, welcome to blank.
Right.
Basketball capital of the world.
I don't think – first of all, I don't think Indiana would do it because I think Indiana's point of view is like, we don't need to say that we are.
Mm-hmm. You all know.
Yeah, if you're – what's the Game of Thrones shit that if you have to say – yeah, Game of Thrones, anybody? Connor Grave. Go get Connor just for this one. I'm kidding. If you have to say you're king, you're not a real true king
that.
or whatever.
That fits in
like
perfectly.
that's some sort of Game of Thrones thing. So I don't think Indiana would say. If North Carolina or Kentucky did it, I don't think I would care as much.
What else?
UConn hurts though because like they don't give a fuck about high school basketball.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't have pro basketball. They don't. There's levels to this, dude. You can't just
That's why I hate this story. Is if Indiana hung it up, it's not determinant on last year or the year before or this year.
Yeah.
You're telling me if UConn has 3 bad years in a row, do they have to take this sign down?
That would be funny.
Indiana never has to take the sign down because people are still packing the state tournaments.
Yeah.
There's still the driveway basketball courts.
There should be like a rotating sign that just like if
like a checklist. Did we win the national title? Yes, keep the sign up.
The problem with Indiana's claim to being the capital of the basketball world is that for far too long we've only been able to point to high school basketball. And I do think I think high school basketball is a huge feather in the cap because like it's one thing to love basketball when you're watching some of the best players in the world and they're cool as fuck and they're so talented and they're all mega stars and you know like that's easy to root for that team if that's your team, you know. Level down college basketball, yeah, no shit. Like if you have an awesome college basketball team, like going and supporting them is becomes pretty easy. It becomes like if you just out of nowhere a college basketball program becomes great, the fan support will come because like that's awesome. Everywhere in this country, they will support a great college basketball team. High school basketball, it takes a lot to get people to give a fuck. As you know, it takes a lot, and so. Indiana has used that as like that's what makes us different is that we will on Friday nights, like if there's nothing else to do, we'll go pack high school gyms. My problem is like at some point we need another bullet point on the resume, and it used to be the Hoosiers in the '80s and the '70s. It's been a while though. That's all I'm saying. Purdue is back to knocking at that door. Butler had their little run, but I don't know.
You have
Tyrese
high
Halliburton,
school.
maybe the Pacers, maybe that's the move.
You have high school. Right now, it's no question that Connecticut has college. Would you say what's crazy to me is this sign is being put up on the border of Connecticut and Massachusetts?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so these Boston fans are probably like,
oh, so is it like a Hall of Fame thing?
Dude, this is like if you drive across the state border, they say, welcome to Ohio. The birthplace of aviation. Now Connecticut's is saying we are the fucking basketball.
Hold on. Wait, are they shit talking Springfield, Massachusetts? Maybe that sign is just for people from Springfield when they come to Connecticut and they see it.
I don't hate that.
They're just like shit talking. They're like, you're not the basketball. We're the basketball capital. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I shouldn't take offense as a Hoosier.
This is just trolling between.
They're just
two
trolling.
states.
Like let the New England states troll each other. I think North Carolina has a pretty good claim. I would say Indiana or North Carolina. Those are the two.
For the state-wise, is there a city that you would say would be the basketball capital of the world?
Again, there's like it's like what level are we talking? I would Chicago feels like a good one actually. I think Chicago has talent at
New York's the
colleges.
Mecca. No?
New York's the Mecca.
This goes back to our draft with Bosco. Where's
what's like the I mean, I am biased with Indy, but Indy's known for two things, and it's basketball and racing. And the racing, it doesn't even come from in-house. Other people from all over the world come to do the race. Basketball is the only export we have.
I think you're being too.
That's the only export.
Number one state export.
The number one state export is basketball. Like DC, I guess. Like the DC area has a lot of great. Seattle, low key, pumps out. Yeah, I don't know what city would be the considered.
I think you're being humble with your home state here. I think this is offensive to the great state.
Well, no, I'm trying to be fair and balanced, Tate. That's all. But I think Indiana's number one. I gotta get to some more high school games this year. I'm excited about that. Anything else? What else is going on in the I'm trying to think of what else we missed. Is this serious? This is I saw that you put this on the sheet here.
Mm-hmm.
December 14th is lining up to be an all-time college basketball day.
Yeah, Rothstein tweeted it. That is, I mean, so
what did Rothstein tweet? How did I miss this? I think it's his birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday, John.
Rothstein? You think Rothstein has a Wikipedia page?
Yeah, 100%. Dude, you have a Wikipedia page.
Why'd you say it like that?
I mean, if we're talking,
why'd you say it like that?
Rungs of the media ladder. if you're rung 5, he's on.
Take it back, bitch. Rothstein does not have a Wikipedia.
Get out of here.
Rothstein has no Wikipedia. That's a mistake.
Rothstein probably said, "Take down my Wikipedia page."
John Rothstein. How do I not see? I gotta be honest, dude. The For You page of Twitter has ruined me because
I know.
I can't. I feel like I don't actually see the people I want to follow anymore, and I just see all this nonsense.
Well, I can tell you this. You talk.
I want to know how he editorialized it
I'll pull it up. I got to go phone on it.
when he said because I know Rothstein had some like grab your nitroglycerin pills or consult your cardiologist or whatever. December 14th. God, he tweets a lot. Anyway, December 14th is UConn versus Gonzaga in Madison Square Garden, Creighton versus Alabama, Louisville's at Kentucky, Xavier's at Cincinnati, one of my favorite rivalries in college basketball. Tennessee is at Illinois, UCLA versus Arizona in Phoenix. There it is. Yeah, UCLA Arizona neutral site game in Phoenix. A&M versus Purdue in Indy, and Ohio State versus Auburn in Atlanta. All that is happening on the same day.
Mm-hmm. Question: would you go to a wedding if you were invited on that day?
No. No.
Really?
I don't think I would. No. I don't think I could. That's so much better than the football slate. Like the football slate is like there's like 5 good games. This is fucking crazy. This is what's the tweet say? You found it?
I have to come and apologize to you real quick. Jeff Goodman tweeted it.
Whoa, that's why I didn't see
That's
it.
why I had it messed up. All right, but I will tell you how he editorialized it. Does Jeff Goodman have a Wikipedia page?
Jeff Goodman probably wrote his own Wikipedia page. Jeff Goodman probably did write his own Wikipedia page. Jeff Goodman. No, dude. How does he not? Oh, interesting.
Intriguing.
Basketball media guys don't have
Well, he tweeted out yesterday. December 14th might be one of the best days of college hoops we've seen in terms of ranked matchups. Right now, if the preseason rankings came out, all of these would be ranked. UConn, Gonzaga at MSG.
Those are 2 top 5 teams.
Creighton, Bama.
Yeah. Yes. 2 very good teams.
Louisville at Kentucky.
2 new like teams finding their identities, but I think this is the rivalry
The rivalry
for the first time. As a hater of this rivalry through the years, I will be locked in on this game because I think this is going to be awesome.
Another great rivalry. Xavier Cincy.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Illinois.
That'll be a great game.
UCLA, Arizona, which you just talked about.
One of my favorite rivalries.
A&M, Purdue in Indy.
And Buckeyes, Auburn, in Atlanta. That's going to be a crazy day. Yeah. I don't know. The whole wedding thing sucks because I do think I'd have to go to the wedding if it was like a close friend.
Yeah, I consider myself like a huge college sports fan, but when that whole debate was going around, you have to go to the wedding.
When you said it to me, I was like, I think the cool guy answer is no, but like honestly, it depends on who it was. Honestly, if it was like Cody's wedding, yeah, I'm not fucking going to that thing.
Right, but
no fucking chance I'm going.
But
to
if it's like a top 500 friend,
yeah,
top 1,000,
it's like
friend,
an actual friend, I would definitely go.
Yeah,
no
like
question about it.
Top 5,000 people in your life.
Yeah,
you have to consider.
You have to, yeah. I won't say who I did this to, but it's something that haunts me still a little bit. There was one of my friends from college got married on the same day as the Indy 500. It was Memorial Day weekend. He got married on the same day as the Indy 500. In my defense, I was a dipshit like 23, 24-year-old.
Way different time in your life.
And I was like, dude, this is sacred to me. Like, I can't come to your wedding on the day of the 500. I was like, if you did it on the Saturday before the race, I'd go, but I can't. Like, I can't miss the Indy 500 for your wedding. Now, if he did it now, I understand the error of my ways, but it still kind of haunts me because he's still a close friend of mine, and I didn't go to his wedding. I look back on it, I'm like, I'm such a fucking dipshit, but also had a great time at the race. I had a great time at the race.
I have no problem if it ends up being accidental or coincidental.
Yeah.
My problem is the ones, and correct me if I'm wrong, like a New Year's Eve wedding.
Yeah.
Like, you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't even care about New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, whatever. I'm talking about the college football aspect of it.
Right.
If you know what you're doing and putting people in a tough spot, then it's on you.
Yeah. And I was very outwardly like, there's one day of the year that means more to me than any other, and it's the Indy 500. It's the Sunday before Memorial Day. That's the most important day on the calendar to me.
And they chose to make it about their wedding day about them.
Yeah, they chose to. So I was like, listen, literally any other. You could have it on Christmas Day, and I would come to your wedding, but I can't do it on race day.
I can't believe you missed.
And I do think now at this point in my life, if they were to renew their vows. Well, I mean, if they were to get married now, I think I'd have to go. But I did miss it, yeah, and it's not something I'm proud of. Anyway, I think that's the show. We need some some off-season content, dude. We gotta figure out some. I don't know. This is the time of year where I'm ready for some workout videos. I'm ready for some fucking.
We're coming.
I'm ready for some fucking. Look at this. I'm ready for some. And don't take this the wrong way. Please don't clip this. I'm ready to see some shirtless pictures of guys.
Some dudes.
I want to see shirtless pictures of guys.
Sweaty too.
I want to see. Look how fat this guy was as a freshman, and now look. 1 year with the strength coach. Look at him now. I want to see. I want to see just like random ass stats being tossed out as like, holy shit, Ace Bailey had 27 points in this scrimmage. I need some secret scrimmage stuff too. I don't know. I have a very high appetite for that right now. I need like a guy pushing a sled on a football field, and it's like, holy shit, Braden Smith. He's been in the lab. Look at him. Look at the body transformation. I need shit like that.
It's about that season. I think we're like 53 days away, I saw, from the season. It's about that time for some shirtless dude pics.
Can't get enough of it. He lost 20 pounds of fat but gained 19 pounds of muscle, and it's like he's just a fucking. I'm like, so he lost 1 pound? Is that so? That's basically is that how we're categorizing that? No. He lost 20 pounds of fat, gained 19 pounds of muscle, completely transformed his body. I need those reports out there. Anyway, thanks everybody watching, listening. We'll be back next week with more fun stuff. See you guys.